Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful gown with a stylish color. So before we move on to the tutorial proper, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Please hit on the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share with your friends so they can learn as well. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So let's go over to the cutting table.
So guys, here is the pattern paper I'm working with. I've gone ahead to input some markings on it. It's something simple, not hard. So, and this is the Ankara fabric I'll be working with. Here is 2 years of Ankara fabric. So, moving on to the drafting. Now what next I'll be doing here, I'll be imputing my neck width. Guys, I'm having ink-up. Sorry for the inconvenience, okay? So for the neck width, I'll be using 3 inches. Excuse me. For my neck width. And for the neck depth, I'll be using 5 inches for the neck depth. So after that, I'll be coming down by 1 inch for shoulder slope. So after that, I'll be imputing my dart line, that is my nipple to nipple line, which is 7 inches. Okay, so 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5, but I'll mark it 4 inches from the bust point line. I'll mark 4 inches, then under bust 3.5, then the half length 3.5. all right, so here is the mark. Then what next I'm going to do, I'm going to get the midpoint of my armhole line, the 7.5, the 7 inches. I'm going to get the midpoint. So the midpoint is 3.5. So from there, I'll come in by half an inch. So I'll impute the quarter of my bust measurements and my waist measurement. I'll connect my armhole. Alright, so after that, to curve out my princess dart line, I will take up with I'll connect the line from the middle of my armhole to my bust point. Okay, so after that, I'm going to come down from this line 1.5 inch. I'm going to come down from that line 1.5 inch or 1.25. I'll use 1.25. okay, so from the 1.25, I'm going to reconnect it to meet my bust point. Okay, so from there, I will come out from this line here. I'm going to come out 1.5 inches. Okay, all right, so from there I'm going to reconnect it into the armhole line. So now to mark out my cup, from the dart line, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches for my dart leg. Okay, please don't use mine. mine may be different from yours. So if you know what is your own that cup, you make use of yours. So I'll be using 1.5 for my own. I'll mark it on my waistline and on my under bust line. So I'll connect it into a straight line. After that, I'll then use my curve ruler to curve out my cup. So I'm going to make the markings
To be
invisible.
visible.
Alright, so after that, I'm going to replace the dart intake of 1.5 inches so that I won't be shorting of it. I'm going to replace it by the side. So after that, I'll be using 2 inches for my seam allowance. You can see my paper is not enough, so I'll add the inches of allowance in the fabric. By the time I'll be cutting it out on the fabric. So now, what I'm going to do now is to cut out this part. So we are through with the drafting, so it's for me to cut it out. Okay, so that is all. Now I'll be opening up this part. I'll turn it this way. You know, I marked for the neck width, I marked 3 inches for the neck width. So I'm going to be doing the same thing to this line also. I'll mark 3 inches for the neck width over there. So I'll also come down by 5 inches I came down. So now open it up. So depending on the side you want your collar to point at. So for me, I would like it to come to my left hand side. I would like it to come to my left hand side. So which is here. I'll be drawing the line to meet up with this place, okay? So I'll do it this way. Alright, so this is it. Now, hope you are seeing what I'm doing and hope you understand what I'm doing also. So I'm going to cut this out like this with my scissors, okay? So before doing that, I'll be cutting it, let me cut it right here now. Let me cut it. Okay, so I've cut it out. And this is all for the facing skirts and the neckline, okay? So this is for the front. So this is for the front. Now I'll be cutting out the back. So guys, I've learned how to draft out the back bodies, okay? So I came down by 1 inch for the neck depth for the back. So now I'm going to impute in my dart line, which is my nipple to nipple line. That is 4 inches. You know, I told us earlier my nipple to nipple line is 3.5 plus half an inch for allowance, making 4. So I'm going to be doing shoulder darts at the back. So now I'm going to divide what I have from my neckline to my shoulder slope. I'm having 3.75 there. So I'll divide the 3.75 by 2 to get the midpoint there. I'm having 1.9, almost to 2 inches. So I'll mark it 1.9. So I'll connect the lines together. So after that, I'm going to get the midpoint of my shoulder line, which is 3.5. So I'll come in by half an inch, then connect it to my armhole curl. So after that, I'm going to contour my zip part to avoid zip bulge. So I'm going to come in by half an inch. So I came in by half an inch. Then I'll connect it to meet my chest line. So after that, I'm going to add half an inch for the shoulder joining, and I'm going to also add half an inch to the armhole region. So I'll be adding 2 inches, same allowance. You know, for the front, I could not add it because I was not having enough pattern paper for the front. So for the back, I have enough pattern paper here, so I'll be adding 2 inches, same allowance for the back. So I'll cut this out for us to see. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut it out. So this is for the back. I splitted this dart open. So by the time I'll be cutting it on my material, I'll be adding half an inch to this line, okay? So here is all for the cutting. Then now, I'll be transferring it to my fabric. So this is all for the cutting. I'll be transferring it to my fabric, okay? So guys, I've gone ahead to put everything together, and I've also shaped my gown. So now what we want to emphasize on is on the collar, how to get the collar. So let me turn the back, starting from the zipper allowance. I used 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance, so I'll mark out the 1.5 inch. Okay, so I'll mark out the 1.5 inch. So I will then start my measurement from this 1.5 inch here. So I'll measure it this way to get the shorter part of the collar. So I'm having 8.75 for the front collar. I'm having 8.75. So I'm going to write it out. 8.75. Then I will also measure the other side, which is here also. I will also mark out the 1.5 zip allowance. So I'm having 11 inches here, okay? Sorry, 11.5 inches for the longer parts. So I will also mark it down. Here's for the short parts, and here is for the long parts, okay? So I'll keep this aside. So guys, there's the paper I'll be using to cut the collar. So the length of my collar is, I'll be using 4.5 inches for the length of my collar. So after that, then here's the length of my collar. So now, you know, for the longer part we measured 11.5. So now I'm going to take the 11.5 divided by 2. 11.5 divided by 2. Let's see what it gives us. That is 5.25. So I'm going to mark my 5.25 this way. So after marking out the 5.25, for the pointiness of the collar, we are going to come out by 2 or 3 inches. We'll come out by 3 inches, starting from the up part here. We'll come out by 3 inches. So connect it back to meet the 5.25. So what next to do is to cut this out. Alright, so I'll be cutting this on my fabric. So I don't need to add any allowance to this pattern here by the time I'll be cutting it on my fabric. I don't need to add any allowance. I won't add allowance here, and I won't add allowance at the down part also. Even at this side, I'm not adding any allowance. So now I'll keep this aside. Then I'll be cutting out the one for the shorter part. So I'll be using this paper to cut out the one for the shorter part. So I measured it, it was 8.9. So now 8.9 divided by 2. I will make it 4.25. So I'm going to mark the 4.25 here. So after that, then for the front part, I used 3 inches for the sharp points of the collar. I used 3 inches. So I'm still going to do the same thing. I will still use 3 inches also. So here is my 3 inches. Then I'll then use my straight ruler to connect it to meet here. Alright, so here is it for the short collar. I'm going to indicate it, and here is for the long collar. Okay, so you can see the difference here. So now I'll be cutting this on my fabric. So guys, I want to show us a little view of it. So here is how it will be looking. Hope you can see this. Here is how the collar will be looking, the sharp point of it. So now I'm going to cut it on my fabric. Okay, and here is the fabric I am working with. I'm working with satin fabric. So guys, this is how I'll be folding my fabric. I'll fold it into 2 this way, then fold it again into 2 this way. So I'll then bring out the long part and see if I'm okay with the fold. I am not okay with it, so I will readjust again and place it on it. Alright, I'm okay with the fold. So guys, I went ahead to reduce the collar by 1 inch. Before it was 4.5 inches, but I reduced it by 1 inch. Okay, so here is the part I'll be working with, and I'll be cutting this out. I'll cut out the part I don't need. So I placed my paper on the material this way, and I'll then cut it out. Let me open it up. Here is it. So here is it after cutting it out. So here is the long part. Hope you can see this. So now I'm going to cut out for the front also. So guys, after cutting this, I'll take it to my sewing machine. So here is it. I've already pinned this part, okay, with my pin. But mind you, if you want to fix this, start from the back. Start the fixing from the back. You can see I started from the front here, but by the time I'll fix it on my sewing machine, I'll start the joining from the back. So after joining it, I'll then bring it out this way, okay? I'll then bring it out this way, you can see. So for the purpose of the illustration, I'll use my pin to hold it down first, right, like this. But mind you, don't do it this way by the time you will be sewing, okay? So the idea is what it is looking like, okay? So now I'll go ahead and sew it with my sewing machine, then fix the sleeve, okay? I'll fix the sleeve, fix my zip, then show us the final look of the gown. So guys, stay tuned. So guys, here brings us to the end of today's tutorial, and here is the outcome of the gown. So here is the little bow I added on the sleeve, and here is the collar. So here are the collar, and this is the other sleeve as well with the bow at the sleeve. I didn't frame this bow, okay? So we've come to the end of today's tutorial. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching to the end, and share with your friends also so they can benefit from it. And do not forget to put on your notification bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, till when I upload a new video again. So bye.